Clan Wars Workshop tanks. Which one should you pick? Alright, so Clan Wars starts today, and there are 4 tanks that are secondary reward tanks. Besides the the tier 10 reward tanks, there are secondary reward tanks that you can craft in the workshop, what you call it, mode. And one of those tanks is this tank, the Panther M10. There are other tanks available, which is the T23E3, also a tier 7 medium tank. The other 2 tanks are tier 8s. One is the AMX M449 and the other the WZ130 GFT, the Chinese tank destroyer. Now, I'll be straightforward with you. If you enjoy tank destroyers, I think the tank destroyer from the Chinese line, the tier 8 tank destroyer, is the best choice out of all the 4 tanks. But if you're like me and you don't really like non-turreted tanks and you don't want tank destroyers, there's only 3 choices for you, which is the AMX, a tier 8 heavy tank, the T23E3, and this tank. Now, I've decided to go for the Panther M10, and I'll tell you why. Out of these 3 tanks, I think the AMX M449 isn't very desirable, is the least desirable of all, even though it's a tier 8 and it's a premium tank and you can make credits out of it, but it is not, on a scale of 1 to 10 on the fun factor scale, the AMX M449 probably ranks around the 5 mark. It is, on a scale of 1 to 10, it is a 5 in terms of fun. So that's why I wouldn't recommend the AMX M449, even though, like I said, it's a premium, it's a tier 8, you can make a lot of credits, providing you do well in it, which is, that's the challenging part. Doing well in it, it's quite challenging in the AMX M449, which leaves us with these 2 tanks, the 2 tier 7 medium tanks, the T23E3 and the Panther M10. Of course, the Panther M10 has the American insignias on it, but it was actually a German tank. Historically, it was a Panther that was made to look like the American M10 tank destroyer. So it was, they put the plates on the side of the turret to make it look like like an Allied M10 tank. So that's the historical part of the Panther. Underneath, of course, it's a Panther. It's a tier 7 standard shells, 150 penetration. It does 135 damage, and that's why I picked this tank over the T23E3. T23E3 has 115 damage per shot. This one had slightly better, 20 more damage, 135 damage per shot. Also, this is a medium tank. There are a lot of medium tanks in tier 7s, including the T20, including the P43 BIS. The Panther M10 is not a T20. It is not one of those aggressive medium tanks. It is, if anything, I would recommend you play the Panther M10 like a light tank. You can't play it like a medium tank. Although it is a medium tank, it does have a little bit of armor. It is a medium tank per se, but you cannot play it like a medium tank because it just does not have the kind of combat capability like a T20. Like a T20 does more damage than this, 200 plus damage per shot if I'm not mistaken. This one, 135 damage, it has a puny gun, so you cannot be super aggressive, but you can play a very good support role as a medium tank. So support your teammates, play a support role. That's the right way to play this tank, but not as an aggressive frontline tier 7 medium tank. yeah, what can I say? What else can I say about this tank is the reload time is pretty quick, 3.84 seconds. It is half a second slower than the T23E3, but you get 20 more damage for half a second slower reload. That's okay by me. Yeah, reload pretty quick. The reload so quick that I don't even run a gun rammer in this tank. I actually run turbos instead. So I run turbos, improve rotational mechanics, and I run optics in this tank. Like I said, I play this tank like a light tank instead of a medium tank. I will try to support from a distance. I will try to use view range to try to spot the enemies and try to support my teammates. You can see in this game there are 3 RTs on each side, so trying to avoid RT is kind of like the difficult part. I was spotted all this while by this Chaffee and the 5916, and now that my teammates are dead, I am left all alone. I should be leaving this position, which is exactly what I want to do. And even as I'm leaving, artillery is trying to strike me. I keep driving away, but the second artillery kind of almost hits me, which leaves me to think that I have been spotted all this time, which means that 5916 was probably having me spotted all this while. So, which is a good idea. I left. So what I'm doing is actually retreating to the corner where I can get a little bit more RT safe, and then I will wait here and wait for them to rush me, and here they come. Really disappointed that I missed that shot, because I need to make my shots in order to win these battles. Now the T131 is actually a very capable tank. He should have finished me off, but that's not a 131, that was a 5916, and the old 5916 would have definitely finished me off. 5916 with the auto loading mechanism, of course. The new 5916s, they're just not as lethal anymore. The old 5916s were much more fun to play and much more lethal, much more competitive. Fortunately, I survived there, which is why I would pick the Panther over the T23E3, even though I got rushed by the Chaffee and the 5916. I should have lost that fight, but somehow I managed to scrape through and survive and came out on top. And yeah, that's what makes the Panther the least painful out of the 4 tanks that are available in the workshop. Like I said, if you have an opportunity to pick the Chinese tier 8 premium tank destroyer, if you like non-turreted tank destroyers, that would be the tank you should pick, because that tank is actually pretty OP. It is a very good, very competitive tank. But if you're like me, you don't like anything that's non-turreted, there isn't really much choice. If you want to, you know, just take the tier 8 tank for the sake of taking the tier 8 tank, the AMX M449, then you are going to be in for a little bit of pain, because that tank isn't very competitive. It is definitely not very fun. If you want to get a tier 8 tank because you want to make credits, hoping to make credits with an AMX M449, I'm sorry to disappoint you, because that AMX isn't easy to play and it's not so fun. It also does not do a lot of damage most of the time. So if you're not making a lot of credits most of the time anyway, you might as well have fun doing it in a tank like this. The Panther M10 is actually kind of fun. It's kind of fun most of the time, because it's a tier 7. You don't really, you can't make the big the big bucks, you can't make the big credits because it is only doing 135 damage, small gun. So yeah, that's what I've got to say about the Panther. The most fun out of the 4 tanks is the Panther. If you have a problem trying to figure out which tank you want to pick in the workshop for you to craft as one of your secondary free tanks in clan wars, look no further. Pick the Panther M10. You will not regret it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.